Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Green Wisdom Health Show. I'm Janet Lewis.
And I'm Dr. Lewis.
And we are bringing you an exciting, uplifting show because I know you guys are all waiting for one out there with all this that's happening. We thought we'd put you in a cheery mood and talk to you today about signs your liver might be toxic. Don't that sound like fun? I know Dr. Lewis is ecstatic over here.
It can be fun.
You know, we just thought there's so much going on right now, and there seems to be a lot of anger associated with a lot of it. And we started correlating anger to, people are drinking more at home. They're probably taking more medications, trying not to have anxiety. And the liver is probably not very happy because there's an old saying that says, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. Well, that would be your liver. So today...
I've said that about the thyroid, though.
Well, that too. Thyroid, yeah. But the liver's bigger. Isn't it like the size of a football or something?
And I'm going to... Somewhere in this podcast, I'm going to tie the two together.
It gets a lot of... it gets overlooked a lot, and it has to do a whole lot of work. So we thought we'd give it a little bit of credit today and teach you a little bit about signs your liver may be toxic. And also part of this came from a young lady that walked into our store. She's a sweetheart, and she just started with us maybe 3 months ago, and she's been consistently buying everything we tell her to buy and coming in and getting more things and asking us all these questions. And she came in the other day and said, part of me just don't feel good, and the other part of me feels great, and I can't figure out why. And she said, I'm keeping a urinary tract infection that I can't seem to get rid of. Well, we started talking to her about what kind of soap she was using. Well, she didn't know anything about the different soaps, the fragrances, the chemicals, and she didn't know that, cleaning your floors with what she said was Mr. Clean, that she made sure she went over 2 times to make sure her floor was seriously clean, and then walking across it barefoot. She didn't realize she was picking chemicals back up that was causing her to be more toxic. So we thought we'd educate you guys a little bit today about maybe some of the things that you're doing that you're not aware of that is maybe keeping you from getting as healthy as you could be, even though you're knowing about what we do here and you're taking things, but you're just not making the progress that you're looking for. So there's a lot of simple things that you can do to get well. And then thank you all for writing in so many questions. I know we took a week off, but we've got a ton of questions. Probably won't get to all of them in this show because Dr. Lewis likes to make sure he answers them thoroughly. And we'll get to what we can, and we'll just keep going until we get through them all. And please keep sending them because we love, love, love them. So, Dr. Lewis, can you tell us about some things maybe that people are doing that they're not aware of that may be causing them to be a little bit more toxic? Well, things that they might be cooking in or that kind of stuff, things that... they may be sleeping on or drinking, the different waters, that kind of stuff. Is there, are they putting in more chemicals than what they're dragging out generally? And how can we do things differently?
Yeah, well, let me go down another rabbit trail before we get to that. I don't know. Sometimes Janet will give me something that says, here, you need this 5-HTP because your liver's toxic, which means I'm being a butthole and a little bit irritable. And she's shaking her head like that's either not true or she would rather I didn't mention that. What is happening now is we're being bombarded by all kinds of smoke mirrors and bull. There's a whole lot of distortion going on in the media. And I would like to address, the Bible says to the pure in heart all things look pure, but to the defiled all things look defiled. And with all this crazy stuff going on, and I just don't understand the racism thing. We talked to a lot of people of different colors over the weekend, had a really good time, and there was no animosity whatsoever. So you have to worry about or think about what you're seeing is what you're having inside, because it's really funny. All these people we're supposed to be in opposition with, we get along with great. And one of the reasons Jan and I talked about what we should, the subject on this podcast is there's this absolutely sweetheart of a lady. She just gave me permission to use some of her words, and she sent me an email. she had some pretty serious injuries about 4 years ago, and she's had some real serious issues from that. And she says, I have a lot of anger and resentment issues. She said, I'm ashamed to admit. I want to take naps during the day. Well, think that may be physiological, but it could be stress, anxiety, and depression. I get up several times a night, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it. I don't know. The sleepiness and tiredness is due to the... She doesn't know if the sleepiness and tiredness is due to the coronavirus situation, meaning the stress that we're seeing on TV, or because her husband's health is declining. Well, we all have different kinds of stress, and sometimes it may not be physiological or physical. Sometimes it can be mental and spiritual also. So don't rule those possibilities out. So it's like putting out a fire. You know, you can take away the fuel, you can take away the oxygen, or you can take away the heat, but you get the fire out more quickly if you address as many of those as you possibly can. So I really appreciate this lady allowing me to read that part of her email.
So we're going to cheer people up, and we're going to educate you about things that'll make you feel better in general then, right?
Yeah, I'm going to rock this lady's world. There's no doubt about it, because she's always been very, very cooperative. And I see so many people that are very cooperative. Like I talked yesterday to Stephanie in somewhere in Nevada. She works in Las Vegas. Lord, I should have paid her just to talk to her. She's so uplifting. And it's because she's doing everything I tell her to do, and this is better, and this is better, and this is better. So when you put good nutrients into your body that you cannot get out of your food completely, your body has to take it and has to work and use it for good. So I'll talk about the liver just a little bit. You know, we're all drinking more, including me. I've never been a big drinker, so 2 drinks is a big deal. But alcohol is one of the worst toxins that you can introduce into your liver. You can do a little bit, it's okay, but you got to figure out what overdose is and stay underneath that. So, you know, 2 for me is pretty much overdose. The liver can't really regenerate as well after you damage it severely. Even though the liver generally is a very good, easy to regenerate organ, you don't want to go too far. And it's kind of like a relationship. The liver and the bile, you know, it has to break down the fats into small globules, and I'll hopefully get into the different kinds of fats, because that was a good question that was asked. Thank you, Brian. The bile, it really assists a lot in the absorption of the fat-soluble vitamins, which is A, D, E, and K. Hey, you've got to have those for good immune system and to feel good mentally also. The liver takes iron, takes vitamin A, takes B12, and takes D from your bloodstream, and it stores it for future use. So that's why you want a whole lot of these things going into your system in the form of supplements, so that your body can store what it's able to store, because you may need it during times of stress. Again, that can be mental, spiritual, physical, financial, whatever. Liver's really, really incredibly important in the fat metabolism. And some people say, I'm not losing weight. Well, you're going to get what you focus on. So if you focus on being healthy, and a lot of people lie to themselves about what they're eating and how much they're eating. I get that a lot. And I try to be polite, so I bite my tongue a lot. It has to do with the lipoproteins, cholesterol. And cholesterol's not the issue. And I've said that for years, and I can show you what research that I read to come to that conclusion. But if you get your insulin down, you get your liver working right, the cholesterol in its ratios goes right into being normal and natural. So, you know, you have to, liver does something called glucose tolerance factor, and you have to have stuff like chromium, which is very important, and glutathione. I'm going to talk about glutathione a lot. And although we do have it, we don't sell a lot of it because it costs a little bit more, and I think it's worth it. But if you want to do go to the cheap seats and still go to the rodeo, do NAC, N-acetyl-cysteine, which I'll get more into in a little bit too. The liver, though, Janet mentioned the liver, and I was talking about thyroid or vice versa, the liver is extremely, wholly, oh my God, responsible for regulating your thyroid function because it converts T4, which is the relatively inactive thyroid hormone, it converts it into the more active form, which is triiodothyronine T3, free T3. When you get an inactive conversion of T4 to T3, it can lead to hypothyroidism. So it's not just your thyroid, honey, it's also your liver. And the liver is extremely important to break down adrenaline from all the stress that we have been dumped more stress on lately. It breaks down estrogen and insulin after they've performed their needed function. So one of the things I tell people is like, yeah, okay, your liver takes these bad estrogens, which we're going to get into. Anytime Janet talks about these bad things like organochlorines, the plastics and pesticides, think estrogen mimicking chemical. So your liver has to take these and conjugate them. It's called 2-hydroxy-4-hydroxy-16 hydroxy pathway. It takes them and converts or conjugates it into a much safer estrogen, pushes it out through the bile, and if you don't have your famous trains moving, as Janet talks about, your trains need to move, 3 meals in, 3 meals out, then a sluggish, slow-moving bowel full of bad yeast, bad bacteria, etc., it unconjugates the safe estrogen, sends it back to the more dangerous one, it gets reabsorbed, and that is a major contributor to breast cancer, ovarian cancer, uterine cancer, testicular, or prostate if you're a man. So the liver is, oh my God, incredibly important. And this lady I was talking to yesterday in Nevada, her liver enzymes went from a 32 and a 33 down to, I think it was a 13, 14. It's like, oh my God, that's pretty incredible in 3 months. And I didn't know whether to take her off the liver support or not. I did because her liver's working real well, but we're going to follow up and make sure that it can hold on its own. So if you want to do the cheap seats, do the NAC, which Janet and I do that anyway, but then do the liver support. That's incredibly important and more all-inclusive and more well-rounded to keep the liver working at peak efficiency. It's just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, some of the major causes for your liver to be damaged is, Dr. Lewis already talked about too much alcohol, but actually prescription medication and antibiotic use, including over-the-counter prescription pain medications. There are so many people that when we do their lab work, their liver enzymes come in elevated, which if you go to your doctor's office and you have that run on a metabolic panel, if it's not out of range, they're not going to tell you that it's an issue. They're just going to say it's fine. But, we're looking for optimal numbers when we do our lab. So, if that liver enzymes, the AST, ALT, are not like an 18 to 20, which you can go back and look on your lab and see if they are, then you've probably got some kind of liver dysfunction. And unfortunately, because the liver is a organ that regenerates during the night between 1 and 3 in the morning, according to Chinese medicine, many people are not asleep during that time because the liver's angry.
And that goes back to the email that I got just this morning.
So then they take drugs or something over the counter trying to help them sleep, like Benadryl, Tylenol, all that kind of stuff, which the liver says, okay, well, now you're making me madder and you want me to detoxify that too. So you've got a vicious cycle going on. So the thing of it is that you need to realize what's causing some of the things that are making you that way. The statin medications actually can raise liver enzymes as well, too, for cholesterol, which Dr. Lewis also talked about. So what is a natural solution to that, or is there a natural solution to the statin medication so it doesn't do that?
Yeah, well, we have a good red yeast rice, which, believe it or not, most of them on the market don't work. I think everybody should be taking the liver support because it has, the milk thistle, everybody knows about that one, but it has the reduced glutathione, it has N-acetyl-cysteine I talked about, the grapeseed, alpha-lipoic acid, carnitine, and some others. But I want to go back to, well, you need the liver for digestion, and that includes the digestion of the proteins. And cysteine is an incredible amino acid. It's been used for very successful in detoxification and heavy metal toxicity, which we all have that. And if you detox the heavy metals, it's better for you. It's good for bronchitis and asthma. It thins mucus, and it's good for cystic fibrosis. Now, that's a big deal. It used for immune enhancement, cancer. There's studies that talks about that, mitigates the toxicity of some of the chemotherapies, mitigates the toxicity of things like acetaminophen. Tylenol. Yeah. And even the radiation too, which the lipoic acid helps with that a lot. It helps with psoriasis. It helps with hair loss, AIDS, diabetes, liver disease, intestinal ulcers, and some of the toxins that require glutathione. Some of them I'm not even going to mention because, frankly, I can't pronounce them. Is the chlorines, the organochlorines. Well, that's most of your cleaning products, bromine, bromide, a lot of the alkyl halides, different solvents. Believe it or not, when Janet talked about the pharmaceuticals, there's way too big a list there. I won't get into it, but automobile exhaust and cigarette smoke, even bacterial toxins, heavy metals like lead, mercury, arsenic, cadmium. And, we're eating more rice because we're trying to eat fewer gluten-containing grains, but rice is famous for having increased amounts of arsenic.
And the tap water, people drinking out of the water straight out of the faucet. And that was that little girl the other day. She was just shocked over that because she said, I know that it's not great for me, but I never thought about people throwing their medications down the toilet and then them being recycled back through the water, because some of that is not stuff they take back out. So we always tell people, if you're throwing your medications away, don't throw them in the toilet, because some of that water's coming back through.
Yeah, throw your birth control pills out, and maybe the deer won't repopulate too much. I don't know.
I think it's quite interesting that there are a number of risk factors that increase your chances of developing liver problems, like gastric bypass surgery. Dr. Lou's going to have a lot to say about that.
Yeah,
but
don't get me started.
He's not going to say anything about that. He's going to be nice
because there's too many of my dear friends listening, and it's like, it ain't like I told you not to do that. Quit eating that crap you're eating and start eating something better, and I'll be able to hug you more. That's another thing during this coronavirus. We need more human contact. Social distancing my ass. Go up and hug somebody.
I'm glad that we opened this door. Let's open some more.
Sorry.
Some more chances.
Sorry, not sorry.
Some more chances of developing liver problems are high cholesterol, high levels of triglycerides in the blood, which, don't
attack cholesterol and triglycerides. Attack the reason that it's gone high, which is the bad fats. Thank you, Brian. We'll get to your question someday. And eating too much things that sugar turns to sugar.
Type 2 diabetes. That's exactly right.
Yeah, metabolic syndrome. Before you get that.
See, he's beating me to these things, but he knows the next phase.
We have different notes. I don't have a clue what her notes are. So, yeah,
I have to keep notes just to keep up with what's in his brain. That's just automatically there.
Well, I've got a filter on, and that's the thing about the liver, and that's why we look to enzymes. If it's going high, your filter's not working real well.
Yeah, autoimmune disease actually is a bigger trigger for liver problems.
Absolutely. And leaky gut, we got some, holy Jesus, great, grand, and glorious new tests for that. So we'll get into that someday.
And we're pretty excited as well for people that are listening internationally. We now have the ability to allow you to order most of our products to be shipped to you. So if you've been...
Yeah, the sweet lady in Canada, the lady in Sweden, and we got people listening all over. We have an incredibly enhanced way to get it to you.
So we're pretty excited about that because we actually have people that listen all over the world. So we can help you now. Having an underactive thyroid, I think you mentioned that could have to do with liver issues. But being a man, this is finally something for the women usually get dumped on all the time. So that now the man gets this with liver issues. Is if he's over the age of 65, aging is a major risk factor for most chronic diseases, including liver disease. And in general, men are twice as likely to die from chronic liver disease and cirrhosis than are women.
Is that because we drink from the stress of picking the wrong wife? I've got the right one, but it wasn't always true.
And thank goodness you do. But I just thought that was very interesting. You just don't see that very often. It's usually the women that are like got stuck with all this stuff. But let's get to some of our questions because we want to make sure that we've addressed them. This show is flying by. But we've got several that probably have got something to do with this show as well. The first one, sort of is. This is from Teresa. She says, I'm a diabetic and I watch my carbs, but blood sugars are still high. What can I do?
Reversing high blood sugar / insulin resistance, it's a slow thing, and you got to quit any kind of hydrogenated fats or trans fats. And the other thing is your cell walls get really rigid because, believe it or not, the government has filled us full of glyphosate, allowing that crap to be sprayed on our crops. And that makes the cell walls rigid so you can't get the insulin, glucose, nutrients into the cell wall. So the best thing to do, there's a lot of good things to do. The N-acetyl-cysteine is good. But you want to take the amino acid complex because it's protein already digested, and ours has glycine that helps take the place of glyphosate. It's a long-term hard thing to do. You've got to suck it up and have the courage to do that. I've had several people that give me excuses lately. Well, I can't do it because my husband moved back in. I can't eat good, or my wife won't cook that way. It's like, well, it ain't that hard to cut a avocado and eat a handful of walnuts with your avocado. It ain't that blooming hard. If Stephen Lewis can do it, y'all can do it.
And Stephen Lewis gets to do it because his wife is not much of a cook. I can cook. I just don't cook. And
she's a good cook. She spoils me rotten. I do it to try to keep her from having to work too much.
He makes something super simple most of the time at night, which is the other part of that. You can eat really well your way into being unhealthy, because when we were gone for a week, we found that out, and we know this, but we took really great organic food with us because we have an RV with a great big refrigerator in it now, and we filled it up with great glorious organic vegetables and organic meats. And boy, Dr. Lewis every day was out there. He was making eggs and sausage or something in the morning, and at lunch we were having another huge lunch.
Asparagus and
pork
squash
chops.
and good stuff.
Great stuff, full of great butter, good fats. And about 2 days into it, I said, my stomach feels like it's getting bigger, and I feel horrible. And you have a choice, because at that point you're going, I can keep eating this, and if you keep eating it that you're going to weigh more from it, because
even good stuff.
That's right, because you're eating too much. And I said, I can't do this anymore. We've got to go back to the one big meal where people can eat pretty much what they want. If they just ate the one meal and did the intermittent fasting and didn't hardly eat anything in the morning or at night.
So Teresa, get your blood work. Let's get going, but expect it to take a while. It's going to take a lot of work, a lot of courage. And the other excuse I hear from some people is, well, it don't taste good. Well, your taste buds got you fat and diabetic to start with. Forget your taste buds. You are smarter than your taste buds. And I'm sorry, I'm kind of on a real soapbox, but I've had a day or two full of it. It's like, I don't want excuses. I don't want to go to your funeral. You're too blooming young, and that's happened a lot lately.
Yeah, you need to care as much about yourself as we care about you. Because
that's what frustrates me. I care too blooming much.
That is it. And going to Brian. We love you, Brian.
Yeah, we really do.
He wants to know about good fats versus bad fats, what to use and what to avoid.
Well, if it's in a box or a package, don't eat it. Eat real food, like Tara says from Wildly Primal. Americans eat so blooming much refined vegetable oils, seed oils, the wrong kind of seeds, and omega-6 fats, they contribute to inflammation and chronic diseases. So what's a good oil? Well, first thing I do when I get home, I grab a handful of walnuts. Walnut oil is really good. Extra virgin organic olive oil is good. Almond oil, macadamia, sesame seed.
Avocado.
Yeah. Flax and hemp is really good. But, some people said, well, I'm going toward a plant-based diet. You're like, oh, bull. Eat butter. Eat grass-fed ghee, clarified butter. Eat organic virgin coconut oil. Yes, that stuff's really good for you. And I'm a big fan of animal fats. Now, it's better to get it from humanely raised beef, pork, duck, and chicken fat is really, really good. Now, the reason it should be humanely raised and organic is because if you get it, from the feedlots, those poor animals are stressed out, and you're going to get a lot of their stress hormones. But animal fat is not bad for you. Forget the bull that they said 50 years ago, and they made America fat and diabetic just by poo-pooing butter in 1953 is when they started. And then they started putting us on stupid stuff, government subsidized, soybean oil, canola oil. Canola's poison, folks. Corn oil, safflower, sunflower, palm. I hate to say this, folks, the southern thing. Peanut oil is not really good for you. Sorry.
That makes your joints hurt. Any of the peanuts, the peanut family.
Yeah.
Is more of a joint pain issue.
Arachidonic acid excess, and the vegetable shortening and margarine. If it says hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated, leave it alone, and that would go back to Teresa's question too.
I think that might answer Kelly's question about is dirty keto better than no keto. What is dirty keto?
Well, clean keto is more like eating the super duper organic, humanely raised stuff. And I think keto is the best way to go. But sometimes people need increased liver function. That's where we come in. They almost always, 97% of the time, need the digestive enzymes. Yes, dirty keto is like, oh, well, let's throw in a little bit of lunch meat in there, a little slice of bologna. And hey, I was raised on it. I like it. I like Kelly because she's from Alabama. And this area in Longview, Texas, it's a good blend of Western, Southern, a lot of Hispanic, and a little thrown in Cajun. Where in Texas, you say, hold my beer and watch this when we're challenged. Kelly, being from Alabama, I suspect she may say, hold my biscuit, because, we're on the edge of the South, and we love our biscuits here, so... Sorry, Kelly. Love you dearly.
So stay away from dirty keto then, basically, right?
Well, it's better than eating the standard American diet, but yeah, it's better to clean it up. It really is.
So some of the signs that improved liver function could lead to for you would be increased energy levels, which so many people told us are just so tired. More regular menstrual cycles with reduced PMS. And you never attribute that to liver, but it actually is.
Then the men wouldn't overdrink and die early from liver disease.
Fewer infections and stronger immunity. And who doesn't need that right now?
Mm-hmm.
Fresher breath and oral health. So if you got somebody with really bad breath, you better suspect their liver.
Yeah.
Clearer skin. A lot of kids with acne issues.
But they eat a lot of French fries full of those trans fats and hydrogenated fats, and stay away from that.
Or they get the skin rashes. They'll get rashes in different areas of the skin, and we usually clean up the liver, and that goes away.
Yeah.
And freedom from sinus pain. I know Dr. Lewis touched on that briefly with the NAC, but people that have sinus issues, you better start working on that liver because that's directly correlated. And if you clean the liver up, you'll have less digestive complaints and more regularity.
And your spouse will have more pleasure because they don't have to deal with your flatulence. I say I cleaned it up. I'm not totally gross today.
See, you also get a positive mood and sharper mind, which seems to be what Dr. Lewis has acquired as of late. So,
well, she's been giving me extra brain stuff, and yes, it works.
So it's time for you guys to do your lab again. For those of you who've been waiting through all this, I totally get it. But things are clearing up to the point, and the labs are clean enough now, or they were before, but they're seriously, they've taken some extra precautions so that you will be safe getting your lab done. Go see what your AST, ALT liver enzymes are. If you're new to hearing our show, go to greenwisdomhealth.com, fill out the health survey, get started. We can order your lab across the United States. There's no need to guess at what might be wrong with you. And Dr. Lewis, could you finish up our show with maybe a couple of products that you wanted to mention about depression or cheering people up and trying to help them with anxiety through these times and making them a little bit happier and taking away the alcohol business?
Yeah.
Could you just kind of give us a little hope and tell us about something? He's at a loss now. He's never at a loss for words, but I caught him off guard.
I'm trying not to get too spiritual because I feel like getting up on the pulpit and preaching, even though I couldn't be a preacher because I cuss too much. But the answers really are there, folks. And when we feel a spirit of fear, you've got to understand that God didn't give us a spirit of fear, but one of power, love, and self-control. Power, love, and self-control. If that was going on now, can you imagine what a wonderful world we would have? And keep in mind, some of those things are being distorted too. That's in 2 Timothy. God didn't give us a spirit of fear. But faith without works is dead. I see all kinds of people praying. It's like, well, that's wonderful. That's the first thing we should always do. But what are you doing? We're bad about getting on internet and getting information, but we're not having the action steps. So we experiment here a lot, and we've got this product that we've had a long time. It's called Easy Relax. I've never taken it because Janet gives me 5-HTP because she says it makes me easier to live with, less stressful. Yeah, I got the look on that. And I thought, well, okay, this Easy Relax, I've never tried it. Let's open a bottle of it. And it's got GABA in it, theanine, ashwagandha, valerian, and passion flower extract. And I took a couple of these, and oh my God.
He said, let's make sure we take that on our trip because it works so great. So he does take it.
And it lowered my blood pressure because I have a tendency to get agitated. And it's because I care so much, and it's because there's craziness going out in the world, and all you got to do is
throw love at it.
Throw love. That's good. That's good. That's good. And, I hug people. Up in Hot Springs, I was talking to a black man. There wasn't any racism. And you know what? I stuck my hand out and says, social distancing my butt. And we had the greatest conversation. We're all one. We're the human race. Let's get over this crazy division and love everybody. That's the way it should be. But Easy Relax really helps it be easier. So, hey, folks, give me a call. Email me. Get on Shooting Straight with Dr. Lewis, and let's get it done. Let's be happy. Let's have a life worth living.
Until next time, we're the Green Wisdom Health Show. Have a great week.
Once again, our show has come to an end, but your hope in your health is only beginning. If you or a loved one are in need of a different outcome and are waiting for a brighter future, take the first step and go to our website and fill out the health survey. Please don't keep us a secret. If you know someone that could benefit from this podcast, please share this show with your friends and family. You're only one step away from a life worth living.